Hey everybody, this is my first movie review in a while. So, Ant-Man Quantumania came out last week, and I ended up seeing it on Friday at opening, which, wow, I haven't smelled that many nerds in one place in quite a number of years, but yeah, so it ended up being a pretty divisive movie a week later. Like, a lot of people and everyone I went to on Friday to see it, like, we all loved it. But now that I'm online, like, everyone seems to have hated it, and I'm, like, not sure what's going on. Is everyone a snob? Is everyone a critic? I mostly enjoyed the movie. I thought it was pretty good. And enough people are annoying me, asking me what I thought about that. Here's my review, so let me be real about it. Okay, edit. I'm actually restarting this review. Sorry. I ended up trolling off into a, like, hour-long rant about how awful Marvel Phase 4 was, and, like, how every movie was pretty much just designed to retire out an existing hero and replace them with a spunky young lady. Now, for the most part, I'm a guy who enjoys a spunky young lady every once in a while, but while it's wrong for the MCU in the 1960s to be all dudes, it's wrong for the MCU in the 2020s to course correct it to be all girls. That doesn't really fix the problem that it's imbalanced either way. Anyway, back to Ant-Man. By and large, I enjoyed this movie. I've come online this week and noticed, though, that seemingly everyone else on YouTube really hates it. Maybe it's just, like, easy to beat up on a big movie, but before I absorb any of that negativity, I need to review it myself while my feelings are still pure, because everyone I meet online seems to just hate the shit out of this movie, and I kind of don't get it. Like, part of me thinks maybe they're just like some deep state shills trying to, like, take down Disney for a political game. But, alright, let's get down to it. Like, the Ant-Man movie series have been pretty happy-go-lucky movies. Like, you know, Paul Rudd, everyone likes that guy. And the first movie was, like, historically written by Edgar Wright and has a lot of his, like, secret magic sauce in it. But Edgar Wright also quit the MCU before the first Ant-Man came out because he kind of realized that he couldn't make his own movie within the MCU's kind of rigid structure. But anyway, the general concept of a man who gets small and hangs out with ants, that's freaking cool to me. So, yeah, everyone loved the first movie. First movie was great. There were like a bunch of like, oh wow, that thing's big. Oh wow, that thing's small. And that was like the whole movie. Then the second movie came out. Now the second movie, in my personal opinion, that one kind of sucked. It was pretty terrible. The villain was completely not fun. And the big like gimmick of the movie was, oh look, Ant-Man can get bigger now. And also, hey, remember that funny Spanish guy everyone liked? Well, then the second movie has like way too much of him. Like, the second movie was honestly just like a minor like punchline to get Ant-Man into Avengers Endgame. Now, the biggest issue coming into the third movie, I don't know, I liked it, but I think maybe people are like pitting up against the fact that it had a lot of different crazy shit in it. Maybe some shit that shouldn't have gone together, but in my opinion it worked out, because it leans hard into the pure chaos of Silver Age Marvel. Like, the movie officially introduces us to Kang the Conqueror in his full glory after being hinted at in the Loki TV show, and from his vague dialogue, he's either in this film after being defeated by the Fantastic Four or the Greater Council of Kangs in the end credits. You can't really tell because Kang is like all timey-wimey and like time traveling, so it's like really hard to like place where he is on his own personal timeline versus the greater timeline of all the other characters. But then on top of that, the movie also introduces the microverse in the comics, which was hinted at in the first two Ant-Man movies, but now we finally see it, and the microverse is awesome. Like, it's just the right balance of like microscopic and creepy and disgusting. And the microverse is where like the Micronauts and Rom the Space Knight live, but since both of those characters are actually owned by Hasbro, not Marvel, they've been swapped out for a bunch of random losers in Halloween costumes and Bill Murray and this dude with a shot glass forehead. Anyway, so yeah, Bill Murray is randomly in this movie. That's random. It's like so random. It's like Bill Murray in Space Jam. Also, part of me wonders that if this was a slightly different universe and they had the rights, would they have just called this The Micronauts featuring Ant-Man? I mean, Ant-Man's pretty up front and center to the story though, but I mean, really this is mostly a Micronaut movie. At least Ant-Man has this crazy epic fight to the death with Kang, and that's kind of the centerpiece of the advertising for the movie, and it feels like a legendary showdown even though the two of them have just met and technically don't really have much to do with each other. Alright, next thing I gotta bring up is Modoc. So yeah, Modoc's here. Now, Modoc is probably the most divisive part of the movie because Modoc is one of just those weirdest comic book characters ever. He's a bad guy from a simpler time when Jack Kirby just thought you could get away with drawing a bad guy whose whole deal was big head, small body. Like, that was like an entire genre of bad guys in the 60s, but now, is it insensitive to make fun of people with big heads? Is that the problem? I guess it's not as gruesome as it used to be either, probably because we got rid of all the diseases that gave people giant heads. I don't know what the issue is, but part of what I didn't like about Modoc was I think Modoc should just be like a pure gruesome like horror nightmare character, like kind of like the way he was in the Avengers PS4 game. And when Bill Murray shows up and like he sets up the stage for Modoc, the way he describes Modoc, it sounds like he's going to be this gruesome, pure horror nightmare thing. But no, they made him into a joke #1 henchman guy. Like, a lot of people take issue with that because that's the exact same shit Joel Schumacher did in like Batman and Robin with Bane. Like, come on, Bane could be the main villain of the entire movie if they did him seriously, like in the comics. So this is the same thing with Modoc. Like, if they had done Modoc seriously, he could have been the main villain. But nah, he's just a joke. And on top of that, even if they had to make him a joke, they killed him off too, which like makes it all the more worse because, you know, they go through all these hoops to introduce Modoc in this movie and then they immediately kill him. And it's like, why? Like, I get that you made the character a joke, but if you kill him too, now the character has like zero chance for like redemption in a future movie. Like, I would have left Modoc alive, and instead of having him like have like a good guy turn, I would just had him like escape and then come back and like the next Avengers movie as like the pure horror nightmare Modoc from the comics. Like, I don't know, maybe it would have been difficult to get him out of the microverse since they stuck him there, let alone the logistics of even how he like lives and works, but you know, I kind of bought the explanation that he was just a guy who shrunk wrong, and I don't know, I like Modoc, so I feel like they like really fucking wasted him. I guess the reality I have to break down is that Modoc in the end is a character that's just too ridiculous for the age. So, I mean, since he's that ridiculous, I get why they made him a comedy relief villain, but I want to still believe they could have committed to the character and did like a true to the original version of it. At least it was a lot better than the horrible sitcom Patton Oswalt version from TV. Anyway, the big villain of the movie was Kang, and Kang was completely awesome, so I really don't have much to say about him, positive or negative. Like, he was the movie. He was great. I'm sure he'll be back, because they promised he'd be back. Also, Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne was also a big focus of the movie, and I thought she really shined. Oh, and also, same thing with the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym. Like, he gets a really awesome scene at the end of the movie, and I was, like, more impressed by him in this movie than any previous movie. Probably the only member of the Ant family I wasn't impressed with was Evangeline Lilly, and I don't think that's her fault. Well, kinda not. So, between this movie and the last movie, she did like a lot of anti-vax shit during the pandemic because she looped together forcing people to get vaccines with forcing people to get not abortions. And I can see her argument that forcing people to do things with their body is bad no matter what, but vaccines and abortions aren't really the same thing, so I can't really say she was in the right either. But anyway, because she did that, they punished her in this movie by completely gutting her character. She's still in the movie, but she has like 0 speaking lines. And like the only thing she does is like she helps out in like the end battle, and like that's it. Otherwise she's like not even in the movie, and like if like they deleted her, like it wouldn't matter. I'm also kind of confused by the fact she and Ant-Man are suddenly dating when like previously they've been like frenemies. Like in this movie they're pretty much married, and like I feel like I missed that development. Like, did that happen in the second movie and I forgot it happened, or did that entirely play out off screen between movies? Because to me it felt unnatural. It felt like they just ended the romance subplot and now they're married. The end. I guess in my opinion the character who got screwed the most in this movie was the little girl who played Ant-Man's daughter in the first 2 movies. Like, if you saw those first 2 movies, that girl was so awesome. But then in Endgame, they threw in the 5-year time skip, so they ended up recasting her with some random chick named Emma Furman. Now, she was barely in Endgame, so I didn't get attached to her, but I guess she looked a lot like the little girl, except as an adult. But unfortunately for this movie, they surprise fired her and replaced her with a 3rd actress. Now, me personally, I think they should have just brought the original little girl actress because enough time has passed that she's probably an adult by now, or she at least looks like one, but nah, they recast the role for a 3rd time. And damn it, I just wanted the original little girl back. The new actress playing Cassie is Catherine Newton, and honestly, she did a pretty good job in my opinion. Like, she was nonetheless acceptable, and I thought she carried on the character's spirit, and I actually found her to be really cool. So if MCU 4 has been like all about replacing the heroes with their spunky young daughters, Cassie Lang is probably the only one of those daughters I'm okay with, because all the other ones have just been like horrible Mary Sue shills that they've just like thrown out. And like, at least with Cassie Lang, they built her up over 4 movies and made her a likable and admirable hero character, as opposed to like Doctor Strange, where suddenly it's like, oh, here's America Chavez from the planet of lesbians. You gotta love her. Anyway, while the movie was supposed to end with Ant-Man and the Wasp being trapped in the microverse again, which is like exactly how Ant-Man 2 ended, I guess audiences hated that, so instead like everyone gets a happy ending and the Ant-Man family gets away and like beats the villain. And then at the end they set up that like even more Kang is coming back to like fight probably the Fantastic Four or Loki or Tom Holland, maybe all 3 of them. Anyway, so here's my take on this film. I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was cool. And I, number one, think it's the definite best Marvel movie since Spider-Man No Way Home, which was technically a Sony movie. So if you don't count that one, then it's the best movie since Endgame. And that's to say that even though this movie is the best Marvel film in a while, I think the only reason it's earning that distinction is that there's been a very long string of subpar and awful Marvel films. You know the one. Anyway, that being said, otherwise I think this movie was awesome, and I can only guess why people are hating on it, other than the general fatigue and predictability of Marvel movies, or for that matter, like all superheroes. Like every single superhero movie, like it's just like the hero shows up, maybe he goes to a spectacular different world, and he defeats the villain. You know, that's predictable, but it's fun, and that's why I like seeing these stupid movies. Wait, it just dawned on me. Ant-Man went to another world. Was Ant-Man an isekai? Anyway, maybe people had issues with the fact that technically Ant-Man is here fighting a bunch of villains that aren't really Ant-Man villains. Like, Kang is typically a Fantastic Four villain, and Modoc is typically like an Iron Man, Captain America villain, but anyway, let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you hated this movie, because if you hate it, I'll have an argument with you. So, look forward to that. Alright, anyway, subscribe, people. I just reached 1,100 subscribers, and I need to get my view count up again, because I have been lazy about making videos lately. Alright, thanks everybody. See you guys later. Good night.